Well, we'll call this meeting to order this morning, January 28th, 2025, in the Commissioners Court, Brewster County. Let's please all rise for the invocation. Will be leading us in the invocation.
Good morning. God bless everybody that has bowed their heads. Almighty God, thank you that you are there in every way for us, loving, merciful, and faithful in your divine will and purpose for our lives. Bless everyone here today. Bless the county, the leadership, Judge Harrington, the commissioners, and everyone here today in every position. With the discernment and the direction. Bless them, oh God. We pray your blessings and the resources in this community, in the county, and all over the area. The rain that's so much needed in the area, dear God. We pray your blessings, oh God, as far as California to the southeast. After so much devastation, we call on you, dear God, for your provision and your protection. And we give you the glory and we give you the honor, dear God, for everyone here today. Bless the families, bless the schools, bless the nation and all nations. And all this we ask because we believe in the mighty name of the precious Father, the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic with which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the precious flag and pledge allegiance to the one nation under God, one and indivisible.
All right, good morning, everybody. Let's move on to number 4. Review and take necessary action to approve the previous meeting minutes. So we'll start with the minutes from January 14th, 2025. Well, actually, let's start with December 19th, 2024. I move this week. December 19th. Okay. Motion and a second to approve the commissioner meeting minutes of December 19th. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Next is the Commissioners Court meeting agenda minutes for January 14th.
I'll make a motion to approve. Oh, go ahead.
Motion by Commissioner Colonna. Second by Commissioner Marv. Okay. Motion and a second. Any discussion? All right. Motion and a second. All in favor of the minutes for just January the 14th, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Number 5. Any public comments this morning? Any compliments? Complaints? Send them to James. He's the emergency manager. Mr. Phillips, thank you for the invitation this morning. Appreciate it. All right, Mr. Stevens, I'm going to flip it. I'm going to flip and let Mr. Carlos Hernandez, Dr. Hernandez, speak first. Would that be okay with you? Okay. All right. We're delighted to have Dr. Hernandez here from the university to talk to us a little bit about what's going on with Silver Ross. Thank you, sir.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Thank you for this opportunity to address this body. I'm in my 3rd year serving as president here at Silver Rock State University. It's one of my proudest achievements. I love working here in this community, love the friendships that we've established. The judge asked me to come in and give you a brief summary of what's going on at the university, current events. And so I'll start with enrollment because that's always a topic of interest. The fall semester saw some very strong enrollment growth for the university. In total, across all our campuses, we grew 20%. But that's only part of the story. The big story is that here in Alpine, our enrollment grew by 31%. And it is probably one of the largest percentage gains that we've experienced here at the university in years. And has gone a long ways to supporting our goals at the state level in terms of funding and advancing our conversation with the state legislature. We're very proud of that achievement, and we're hoping that this coming fall will be just as strong, if not stronger. However, the spring semester is shaping up as good. So we're actually not done yet with a registration cycle, and an official measurement date for reporting to the state. It hasn't been achieved yet. But we are tracking probably a 1% decline in enrollment year over year. So we compare our enrollment this spring to last spring, we're going to experience about 1% reduction in enrollment. However, let me counterbalance that by saying last spring we reported 20% growth in enrollment over the previous spring. So all in all, I think it's a story that our enrollment is headed in the right direction. We wish that every semester we were able to report strong enrollment growth, but the story is what it is. The numbers don't lie, and we make this information available to anyone who requests it. So we're happy to share that information with you at this point. I'll move very quickly to the legislative session. This is the most fun that any public administrator has in the state, is when the legislature gathers in Austin and decides our future for the next couple of years. And this, as of yet, has been kind of a mixed returns. We submitted, we've actually provided materials, and those materials you'll see where our legislative agenda was when we submitted our legislative appropriations request. We have had to make an adjustment to that. Our initial legislative appropriations request focused on the highest priorities being full funding of the formula recommendation from the KHCD to the legislature. They've embraced, I believe they've embraced that wholeheartedly, both the Senate and the House. We asked them to continue supporting and add additional funding to statewide scholarship programs that are there to support these students most in need, and would benefit this university and all universities across the state by providing additional financial aid to students, state financial aid. And then lastly, in terms of the statewide priority, this is the year where capital maintenance funding is reviewed. It's reviewed every 10 years. It is the higher education fund. And we ask again there that they embrace the KHCB recommendations for funding levels to that. Those are critical, especially in campuses that are as mature as our campuses. We've been in existence over 108 years. And as you can imagine, many of our buildings need more care than we have funding available to execute the ongoing maintenance. So we've asked them to support that. We don't know where that's going to head yet. That'll be discussed in committee here as the legislative session moves on. We also asked for 3 different exceptional items. Exceptional items are line item appropriations to the university for special initiatives. The earmark or the biggest request, most important request we had for Alpine was $8 million over the biennium to fund the Borderlands Research Institute activities on an ongoing basis. Those activities currently receive no state subsidies whatsoever. And so this would institutionalize them and fund them in perpetuity going forward. I'm happy to report that that particular exceptional item has been included in the initial draft of the appropriations bill, both in the Senate and the House. So we're cautiously optimistic that both will stay in our funding model going forward. We also requested $2 million to fund a water research center here in Alpine, Texas. Similar to the Borderlands Research Institute, we're focusing on groundwater utilization, groundwater policy development, and strategies to really manage that activity going forward. We hosted a water conference about a little over a year ago, I think. Very successful, very well attended, and this request emerged out of the interest from local landowners and statewide interest in pursuing water as an area of study here at the university. So we look forward to support on that item at the state. Lastly, we requested a $10 million item that would fund program development across the entire enterprise. We would split that $10 million, $5 million for Alpine and $5 million for Eagle Pass. And program development is basically funding faculty salaries to add additional degree offerings in areas of specialization. So for example, we have a business college, but we don't offer accounting degrees, economics degrees, finance degrees, and so forth and so on. we only offer a general business administration degree. So this funding would allow us to increase our faculty size in areas of specialization to offer additional degrees. That's important from a recruitment perspective, because if there's a graduating senior somewhere in the state that wants to be an accountant, then they have no business coming to Salva State University because they can't get an accounting degree here. And there's a number of areas similar to that. Our areas of interest are in business administration, health, the health industry writ large, both administration and specialized care, and computer science. So those are the three areas that we're focusing on in terms of developing new programs. We have a new exceptional item request that we're working on that emerged as a function of something that the legislature did in drafting their initial bills. They cut a critical operating fund appropriation that is labeled institutional enhancement. We use that money to pay for faculty salaries and operations on campus on a day-to-day basis. They cut that out of our appropriation bill pattern, and they cut it from every university across the state. With the promise or the commitment that there would be an ongoing conversation to restore that funding during the legislative session. That represents a $10 million decline in funding for Salva State University as a whole, which is approximately 50% of our state support. So that would be crippling if it remains in place. We're confident and cautiously optimistic that that will be restored as the session wears on. Lastly, we were providing you with a construction update. We have a lot of construction activity on campus. We've already started work on Fletcher Hall. We're fixing up some mechanical deficiencies in that building and restoring it to where it's usable again. It's a $3 million project that is scheduled to be completed by early summer. That'll bring an additional 130 beds into our inventory, allowing us to house that many students, additional students on campus. We find that in the fall semester, we're running at about 97% of capacity. And so these additional beds will go a long way in allowing us to support additional student enrollment in future semesters. In addition to that, within probably the next 90 to 120 days, you'll see construction fences go up over by the old Porter's grocery store. That will be remodeled into a new performing arts center and instructional facility for performing arts. That will include theater, a recital hall for music students, practice rooms for music students, different instructional spaces, faculty offices, a food shop, and a wardrobe shop as well. So the comprehensive performing arts center right in the heart of downtown Alpine, where we will host future performances of the theater and the music department. So we're looking forward to that. That will be about a 15 to 18 month duration once we start our construction activities there. As part of that project, we're also doing work in the theater, the outdoor theater over in Coconut Park, doing a little bit of maintenance work on Coconut Lodge. And then we'll circle back around once we've moved the performing arts faculty to this new facility to do additional work over at the Frank Rose Fine Arts Building on campus. In addition to that, we have some work ongoing that's largely grant and gift funded in the museum of the Big Bend to better manage and house our map collection, and that's in remodeled spaces. So that's all the construction work we have ongoing on campus, and we look forward to maybe more in the future. But we've got to get this complete before we go there. I'm happy to respond to any questions you may have.
What's going on with industrial arts?
We want
Industrial arts.
the industrial arts program is actually industrial technology now. We don't have an industrial arts program, and that's run by overseen by the department head, who's also happens to be our faculty senate president, Dr. Eric Busby. She's hard at work expanding the program offerings in that area as well. Enrollment is stable, but it's not really growing as fast as we would like it to. So in order to grow enrollment in those areas, he's looking at implementing things like logistics management, and other areas of interest that are associated with industrial arts or technology, sorry about that.
Are there any letters of support you need from us on this funding issue at the legislature, or should we wait to see how it goes in Austin?
Let's say, yes, I would say let's wait for now. Let's see how this, I'm going up to testify before the Senate Finance Committee next week. And we'll see how that conversation begins to develop and evolve. And I will certainly circle back and take you up on your offer to support our needs.
Yeah, I think we're gonna be happy that anything that affects Solar also affects this community, so we're happy to help if we can.
Absolutely.
The other question I have is, I don't think it's y'all particularly, but there's a research facility being built at the Curlingwood Ranch right there at the foot of Christmas. Got any update on, is that started or about to start?
Yes, they've already started, in fact, and they're well underway with their construction activities out there. Unfortunately, I'm not familiar with to what degree they've already progressed. But I believe they're building a main research site along with accommodations for individual universities that go there to conduct research. So they're building housing, they're building appropriate support facilities and research facilities as well. That is grant funded as well. It is owned by the Texas State University system. All accounts are that it'll probably end up being managed by Sulphur State University once it's completed, but it is the research facility that's being made available to any and all universities across the state and across the country. Actually, they can rent the facility, come in and conduct research as they need.
Okay, anything else to report?
Well, you mentioned earlier that the lack of water is a concern. How does that play into your growth and by extension, the county's growth?
So the water research effort that we're pursuing is different from operating activities. So we have not encountered, and I think this is where your question is hit, how does water availability affect our operations? Is that correct?
You're right, and the growth of the campus, the extra buildings you're talking about, more people equals more water.
We haven't run into any significant challenges with operations and water needs. We've voluntarily complied with city requests to restrict watering in the summer when water becomes less available. But by and large, we're holding our own and we're trying to maintain our grounds as best as we can. Understanding that the needs of the community are just as critical as the needs of the campus. So we're working hard to maintain that stable relationship between the city and the community and ensuring that there's enough water for all.
Well, we thank you for coming in today, very much.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I look forward to seeing you all soon.
Anything we can do to help you, let us know. Thank you, sir. Okay, Mr. Stevens, we'll go back to Alpine. Start city of.
Well, thanks very much. Let me talk about water since you brought it up. So I'll give you a little information from the city water perspective because it's one of the 4 strategic items we focus on at the city. The city has capacity to deliver 3.7 million gallons of water every day. So that's our capacity to be able to pull on the ground. We'll have 12 wells to be able to service that. Our issue is not getting water availability because we use at most 1.8 million a day. So we use half our capacity. Our challenge is in water distribution and being able to distribute it. The city is divided into a couple, we'll call it the east and the west plain. On the east plain, there's plenty of water. It's the challenge on the west side. And the west side is really driven by a water leak we've had over the Sunny Glen area. We've actually just found it. We've got a water tank that's leaking. We're gonna have to get some divers in here to go clean up that water tank, and we're in the process of working that. I think that will resolve the issue on the west side. The other things we are working on is make sure there's sufficient water pressure on the south side, particularly in Ward 4. We brought on an engineering team to look at how we go rectify that. We think we have a plan to work that as well. So I think overall from a water capacity standpoint, we're good. It's the distribution side and we're spending considerable amount of time, effort on that. Related to that wastewater treatment plant, I think you're all aware the city's invested $1.7 million in our wastewater treatment plant. We took down clarifier number 2, we're in the process of rebuilding it. Once clarifier number 2 comes back up, we'll have the capability to produce about 200,000 gallons of effluent water every day. In the wastewater treatment plant, we process 400,000 gallons, so about half of it will come out as effluent water. Right now, it's type 2. The type 2 effluent water allows us to put that water in the golf course, but we cannot use it for anything else. My push is going to be, once we get clarifier number 2 up to speed, then we'll go for a type 1 license, and that's an opportunity then to be able to use it for other activities, including parks and things like that. St. Ross is in fact the largest user of water in the city, using about 56 million gallons a year, but that is by no means the huge issue for us, and so we're off working that. We did talk about our most recent update to our drought contingency plan. We'll have a second reading of that ordinance at the next city council meeting on February 4th. That gives us all the flexibility to say what's going on. But I think overall, water, we're in good shape. We, from a city standpoint, really enjoy what St. Ross is doing from a water perspective, because we do live in a desert. And I think just like the county, it's what's the water needs, what's it look like long term, how do we manage all of that, and how do we make sure. But from our standpoint, we don't see water as an issue for development anywhere from the city standpoint, recognizing that may be a different issue, particularly down south, from the water standpoint on that. So hopefully that provides an answer to the water question and where we are in wastewater treatment. 5 other items I'd like to cover. 2 of them deal with transportation. One is council is talking about sending a letter to the coalition against heavier trucks. There's a state legislative right now activity going on to put higher weight trucks on our roads up to the 88,000 pounds. We, from a city standpoint, don't have an issue with higher weight trucks. We just don't want them going through downtown Alpine, because the issue with downtown Alpine is not the roads. That's the state takes care of that, East Avenue E and Holland and the Loop Road. It's what's underneath the street, and that's where the city gets a little bit concerned. We're worried additional weight may put additional stress on our sewer and water infrastructure, which then says, it impacts all of us. So we are going to end up sending a letter in to go against that. Nothing on the major thoroughfares from the I-20, I-10. Put all the weight you want them at all, but please keep them out of the small towns, and that's our focus. Also related to transportation, the bridge. So I met with Armando and Don and Anthony last week. We have another meeting in 2 weeks. They've raised the issue of the UP Bridge. Let's get on with the short-term solution up in El Paso. My next stop, past El Paso, I'm going to stop and talk to Tomas up there and say, hey, we really need to get that going. And it really is a short-term solution is put a radar sensor up, put one in Marfa, so trucks come in this direction we know, and then put it on this side as well. So we have an alert system available to say, boom, 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 you're above the 13 feet 7 inches, time to turn around, here's your turnaround point. When we did a kind of the back of the envelope discussion last week, when you include all of what our costs are, what your costs are, and what TxDOT costs are, it probably costs us about $50,000 every time a truck runs into it. Our estimation is probably for $200,000 to $300,000, we can get a system up in place in relatively quick order. That's probably going to cost us maybe $200,000 to $300,000. It only takes 1 year's worth of trucks hitting that doggone bridge that will save all of us. So I'll keep you posted on that, and because I took the lead from the city standpoint to go work that.
One of the things that I didn't hear about was, are you aware of doing this? Is the city levying fines against these drivers that hit this bridge? Sometimes when you get people in the pocketbook, I guess my attitude on this, if you're a truck driver and you're a licensed commercial truck driver, you have certain responsibilities.
No question.
I get it if you're just a resident driving an RV, okay, but these are truck drivers who should have knowledge of their height, and when they hit that bridge, my feeling is that when you start hitting pocketbooks, then all of a sudden you start waking up, you start seeing those signs that they
can't see right now.
Yeah, I agree with the judge.
I mean, we charge, and the city charge for any of the,
Up to this point, we don't, but after you and I talked about it, we're off working it to make sure we're tied in terms of what goes on from a DPS standpoint and from a city standpoint to be able to go get those fines put in place. We have some work to do. Yep. So those are the two items on transportation. The next item I'd like to talk about is parks. We have a second reading of our ordinance to update the parks ordinance within the city of Alpine. Probably the most significant item in there, the Parks Board is recommending that the city of Alpine allow alcohol on the city parks for special events. Would require a permit. It was a big debate in the last discussion, similar to our second reading on February 4th, but that's probably the only major change on parks. But it provides opportunities for events that people may have, whether it's 4th of July or whatever, to be able to get a permit, allow alcohol. There's a general bias against doing it on a normal basis, because as soon as you open the door, now you got all the other challenges with alcohol in parks that we're just not interested, but you'll hear more about that coming up, particularly our reading at the next meeting. From an election standpoint, we have wards 1 and 3 coming up for election this May. As you recall, the city had 9 initiatives. We put 2 that were all passed in the latest ballot amendment. One of them was to change from a 2-year term for city council members to 3-year terms for city council members. And then the maximum terms you can hold is 2 years. So this coming up is 1 and 3. Normally will be 1, 3, and 5. So it's 1 and 3. Then next come up is 5 in the mayor, and then wards 2 and 4. So that's the sequence. So we'll work our way through. The last item that I want to talk about, because I know it comes up rarely, is what's going on with the burnout building at Pocahontas Lightning. I would tell you that city council has had a number of executive sessions on this topic about how to move forward. We have to get our act together in terms of our homework. We've completed that homework. At our next executive session, we're going to start moving forward on actions we can take. I will tell you, we gave the city manager authority probably 3 months ago after an executive session, and therefore it doesn't come out to hit the news very much, but we gave the city manager the authority to go pull data together to allow us to go negotiate the property with Bill Ivey. And so that's all I can say on the topic until we start that process, but we are in fact working it and looking forward, because we want to get that property returned back to its use. Clearly a lot of work to do, but we're heading down that path. Expect to hear more of that after our next city council meeting, February 4th. Any questions for me?
great, thanks for
Thanks so much.
Appreciate your comments.
All right, let's see, number 8, recognitions and announcements. Anything this morning to report? All right. Number 9, county judge report. He talked too much, so I won't go any further. Number 10, discuss and take action, possible action regarding plans, budget, and construction of a bunkhouse in South Brewster County and a visitor center in Student View. Mr. Gilmore.
Good morning, all. I appreciate your time this morning. I'll try not to take too much of it, but I do have a lot of information to cover, so bear with me and stop me down if you have any questions, or you just get tired and tell me to move on. So just a quick introduction to myself, those that I have not met or had the pleasure of meeting. My name is Justin Gilmore. I'm the president and a licensed architect with Level 5 Architecture. Our firm is out of Mansfield, Texas, just a little suburb outside of Fort Worth area. But quite honestly, my second home is my pickup truck. I travel all over the state of Texas. We've done a lot of work over the last 25 years all over the state of Texas. In fact, here in South County and in Alpine, about 15, 16 years ago, I was the lead architect, the project architect on your emergency operations centers down in South County, as well as the volunteer fire station here in Alpine and the small community center and annex building in Meriton. So very familiar with the area and always pleased to be able to be back out here. As long as it's not in mid-August, I'm okay with it. But we've also done plenty of these types of facilities that we're going to look at today with regards to fire stations, EMS stations. And we've done lots and lots of community centers, event centers. In fact, the Ward County Event Center there in Monahans that you see right along I-20. That was one of my projects that we completed about 8-9 years ago. Very beautiful facility, very proud of that facility. It's about 90,000 square foot of facility. We built it, finished that project back in 2016 at the tune of about $23 million for that facility. Little bit skewed numbers there. The construction manager was actually an in-house contractor that was hired by the county, but they also have participation with economic development as well as City of Monahans to be able to bring that whole community and that event center together. It is highly used every day. I can't count the amount of basketball and volleyball tournaments I understand go on at that facility, as well as birthday parties all the way up to conventions and conferences. I think they're looking at hosting one of the smaller regional county conferences here in the next few years. So again, very familiar with the area, very familiar with the types of projects we're looking at, and very blessed to be able to bring these two projects to you today. Now, both of them we've been working on for several months. We've had several meetings with the committees and the staff involved with them. So I'm going to dive right into it and cover the Terlingua Fire EMS living bunkhouse quarters first. We'll go to that next page. So when we dive into a quick project, we really got to study the site first. We try to evaluate what's going on with the site, where our utilities are, where are the sun angles, where are the winds coming from. We really try to evaluate all the different parameters on these sites to not only position the building on the right location, but also get the right openings to it. For instance, I do not want to ever put a large entrance door into a facility right at the southwest corner of a building in West Texas. That just gets you a lot of wind, a lot of heat. So those are areas that we try to look at. We try to position our buildings this way. What we're looking at here is a quick analysis. You will see the Terlingua Fire and EMS station. That is the existing South County Emergency Operations Center that is there. And in the orange is where our proposed building location is for this new bunkhouse. This bunkhouse is strictly to serve living quarters for the fire and EMS station. It is not additional ambulance bays, fire bays. It's strictly living quarters for the area that's down here. So we'll go to the next slide. Based upon our site evaluations, looking at the program, the needs of the facility, we have developed this floor plan here. If you actually see the orange area in the middle, that is our commons area. This is the main entrance into what we call the living quarters or bunkhouse. The blue area immediately beyond that are the 4 bunk rooms, the living bunk rooms. These are all just kind of split. Each one of them can house one person with all the wardrobes necessary, the closet space. This is anticipated for a single-use room for each one of these 4 bunk rooms. Just to the plan south of that, you see the women's and men's restrooms there. Again, these women's and men's restrooms are designed to be able to have a vanity space where people can get ready, but also have 2 separate shower restroom combinations. So the logistics of that is you can actually have all 4 people that are living in this space getting ready at the same time for the day, for the evening. They just got back from a really nasty, dirty call. They could all 4 shower at the same time in this facility here. Just to the left of that, you'll see the purple area, which is a gym area. This is a very small gym area. If you actually think about the size of this, equate it to a hotel that you've gone to, and you've got a small gym in there, maybe has a little free weight rack, a treadmill, and maybe a recumbent bike. This is just an area, again, where there's an opportunity to give these folks that are here 24/7 an opportunity to exercise, keep up their blood pressure, keep everything going so that they can jump on those calls. Right now, they're doing a lot of that inside of the open ambulance space. During the summer, it gets a little hot. So we've included this space in here just to give us some air conditioned space for that. Just north of that, plain north of that, you see a large pantry. We always put large pantries in our fire and EMS stations because when you have rotational shifts, everybody wants to have their own little stash, their own little compartment. So we give them plenty of space for each person to have their own little space in that pantry. And then a large open kitchen area that feeds and overlooks right into that large living space there. Now, just to the bottom left is the little dog leg of the L shape that we're looking at here. This is a separate apartment. The deeper blue area is a separate apartment area. This is strictly designed for the sheriff's officers that are sheriff's deputies that are servicing this area down here. A separate unit from the fire and EMS living quarters, full living room, small kitchenette, dining room, and then it's a single bedroom that's in there with its own private bathroom and large closet space for that. So again, just trying to meet all the program needs, meet the needs and the functionality for the space, for people that are actually living and breathing down here. And we've all looked at a bunch of different things. The one area that we really needed to evaluate was opening the main door back to the west. I mentioned to you that I hate opening doors directly to the west, southwest in this area, mainly because of the sun angles that are hitting on that. So what we've done in this area is actually create a large porch and a large courtyard space. It gives them an outdoor space to be able to go out there and sit and hang out, especially as the sun's setting, watching the most beautiful sunsets in this area. But it's also protecting the openings, the windows and the doors from direct sunlight hitting into that. Really creating a lot more energy efficiency on this building. And again, just giving a little bit more of aesthetic appeal. So we'll go to the next slide. Just looking at the building itself, exterior wise, very simple building. Very gable end. When it comes to the L shape, you've got your hip roof. We are anticipating a standing seam metal roof for this building. Long-term, very durable roofing system. The exterior facade, we're looking at the stucco and the stone to really blend this building directly into the existing fire and EMS building. And the construction of the building itself, and we'll go to the next slide. The construction of the building itself, we're actually anticipating a structural insulated panel system, most commonly referred to as SIPS panels. Go to the next slide. SIPS panels are something that is, it provides not only a structural stability of the exterior walls and interior walls, but it's a product that you can actually manufacture off-site and then ship it directly to the site. We'll go to the next slide. So this is really what it looks like. It's basically two pieces of plywood on the exterior. There are some wood studs in the middle of it that really provide the structural stability, but in between that is filled with insulation. This is essentially think about a spray foam insulation cavity between two pieces of plywood. These are all manufactured off-site so that you can ship them directly to this project site, stand this building up. My estimation on this roughly 4,000 square foot building, if you get a crew of 5 to 6 folks out there standing these buildings up, you can get it done within 2 days. So it provides for a lot of speed, but the most important thing about this is it's a very energy efficient building. Think about a double walled cooler with insulation in between it. That's essentially what this is. So we're looking at this facility to be able to build it out of this, out of not only exterior walls, but we use them for roof panels as well. So go to the next slide. And then what to talk about on the exterior finish of it, we're looking at the stucco finish and then the ashlar stone masonry, very similar and very reminiscent of the existing EMS building that's currently there. Go to the next slide. Interior wise, we're just playing around with colors, but you can kind of see the Southwest rustic theme that we're looking at, not only from the exterior, but we'll bring that indoors there as well. Next slide. Using very simple lighting systems. All this to say, this is a very simple building from a constructability standpoint, but only also interior finish out. We'll go to the next slide. This is where it really makes sense. To build the building that we're trying to do here, we put together a very detailed budget. I know it's really hard to see all these specific numbers, but I included this in your packet so that you can print it later and go forward if you wanted to. But really, we'll go to the next slide here. We can always come back and dive into items. We'll go to the next slide. And I believe it's the last slide that we'll look at here. One more. Is that it? That last page is not on there. Let's go back one page if we can. Well, I do sincerely apologize for that. I can tell you, I know the numbers off the top of my head. Right now, we're about $667,000 baseline hard construction costs. We anticipate about another 25% of that cost being allocated for construction management. Okay, That comes into about $137,000. What a construction management fee is somebody to actually oversee the project and the construction. That's not me. I'm not boots on the ground every day. That is somebody that would be there servicing the project every day. That 25% also includes your insurance fees, your bonding fees, the rentals of porta potties to be able to service the project while they're on site, maybe a job site trailer, and then travel to and from the project itself. That also includes the contractor's profit and overhead fees. On top of that, we have our fee for architecture and engineering. To this point, we've just been hired to do conceptual drawings on this project. We typically charge around 9% fees on something like this overall. You already have paid us a small amount to do these conceptual drawings. So we're estimating an 8% fee, which is going to be right around $97,000 or $87,000 on this project. That brings us to a total of right at about $1,050,000 if I had to rough it into figures on this. So that is all in on this project for full construction, okay? The one thing I would say that is not included in that would be the bunk beds or the couches, whatever we need to bring in for the operations internally. But we're talking about everything. If you dump that building upside down, nothing falls out. That's what we're talking about for $1,050,000 for the full construction estimation on this project. I also do have a 15% contingency in this overall project. We're at a very conceptual stage with all these projects. Not only timing wise, the longer we wait to look at it or build it or design it, those fees keep going up. So we want to make sure that we've got enough contingency right now to cover those additional costs. We also don't know when we dive into the project what things may pop up as well. So that's what's included in the overall construction project of $1,050,000 as an estimation. So I wanted to stop here and see if we have any questions before we move on to the visitor center here. You always go back and do whatever.
Thoughts, comments from the court? Any? Defibrillator. I was hoping to get done for $50,000. I guess we could put some DP.
Yeah, that, you know, not much better than what they've got currently, so.
Yeah. Our biggest issue, you guys know, is, and we're not here to decide today, but the current station is, if you haven't been in our current station, it's certainly an apartment complex. Sheriff and I was the other day, we got attacked by 2 dogs. We really do need to, I don't think there's any argument that we need to have separate quarters for our staff and not have them in the station. It's something for everybody to take back and think about and discuss in the future. Any thoughts on this particular project? Good information.
Everybody's on this side of the road. I just wonder, out of the $1 million, what would you go out and buy before we build?
All right, well, go on to the next one.
Yeah, yes, sir. So the next project we're going to look at is the Tolima Visitor Center. Again, over the last 7 months, we have been visiting with the established committee down there. It ranged anywhere from about 8 to 12 people at any given time. And it's been great, a lot of really good feedback. Initially, when we started this project, we asked everybody, just put your wishes and wants on a piece of paper and send it over to me. And that's where we started. Those wishes and wants, actually, we proposed about a 4,000 to 5,000 square foot building, not knowing the wishes of a exhibit hall, for instance. We didn't really realize we established an exhibit hall for I think it was about 800 square feet, 600, 800 square feet, not knowing that that's really not what the intention of that exhibit hall was. We grew that facility. When we had our first meeting, that 4,000 to 5,000 square foot building just was not the anticipation that we looked at. And that is perfectly fine. I told everybody, I said, if I nailed this design on the first try, then I did something wrong. So after that meeting, we came with the grander vision. Came back a month later to meet with the committee. We were ending up in about an 18,000 square foot facility. Went from a 4,000 to an 18,000 square foot facility. So this project has grew dramatically. Looking at that, I also brought some very preliminary budget numbers back, and everybody said, whoa. I said, yeah, that's where we're at. So let's figure out how to rein this thing in. So over the course of the next couple of meetings, we actually came up with a building that's about 11,000 square feet, pushing 12,000 square feet, that actually meets the needs and the wants and desires and the wish list that everybody has put together for this committee. So that's what we're presenting today. So we go to the next page. So again, looking at our site evaluations here, the largest thing is that this site is about a 10-acre property that's really at the intersection of 118 and 170. It gives us great access to both highways, but the problem is on 170, once you actually get up to that on this 10-acre side, there's a pretty significant height variation there. There really wouldn't be any opportunity for us to access 170 from this property here. So we really pushed our focus back over to Highway 118 and making sure that we could focus all of our energy on entrance exits off of that piece of property there. On this 10-acre piece of property, just a couple things to note. There is an existing pump well house that's there. This well house is serviced and owned by Brewster, who currently owns a 10-acre piece of property. They utilize that for all of their water at their facility, and they need to continue to use that in the future. So therefore, we've got to make sure that we have access to that well house as well as an easement that we're looking at for long-term maintenance. The other thing is a pretty significant low-lying area. I would call it a retention area, but I don't know that how much water it actually retains. It's just a low-lying area that during a heavy rain, you can see where there's a lot of vegetation, a lot of water that stagnates in that area. Being very cognizant of the land and not messing up the terrain as much as we can, we want to make sure that we're taking that into account as well. So stay away from that, but maybe utilize that. Solar angles, wind patterns. A lot of our storms in this area come in from the northeast, southeast. So we want to make sure that if we've got high winds, we can not only take those and use them for maybe some fresh airs that are coming in, but also stay away from the higher wind patterns and protect our windows and openings in those areas. Therefore, we've proposed this building location here. Let's go to the next page. And this is our proposed site plan that we're looking at here. On the north side of the property, the north property line is really where we're stacking all of our parking. This building here, this property here has about 550 feet of highway frontage there. TxDOT typically requires 500-foot separation from most driveways and approaches. So therefore, we've set our two approaches on this property on the north and south side of the property lines. Our north side is really where we're looking and focusing in our ingress into the property. We've got ample parking for all of our buses and RVs that want to come in there, the larger vehicles, and then also allows them pull-through bays to be able to loop back around, exit right back out on that south side or the north side of the property there. In between there, between the middle of the property, we have all our regular vehicular traffic and vehicular patterns. The blue arrows you see are your vehicle patterns, and the green arrows are your pedestrian traffic. We really try to evaluate this to make sure that we have minimized the crossings between the blue and the green arrows. And I feel like this site layout has really accomplished that. There's very minimal crossings between those two. The orange area that you see there is our proposed building, and we'll look at that here in just a second. But out in front of that proposed building, we have a large open area. This area could be future growth of this building. Again, we talked about the second round of design and opportunities being at an 18,000 square foot building. Now we're back down towards a 12,000. Well, in the future, we just realized that this 12,000 does not meet the needs, and we need to go to 18. We've designed that accordingly to where we can expand this property without having to redo the whole site. Around that orange building, you also see another loop. This is really focusing on getting people around the building itself because we have opportunities for deliveries. We have got a catering, we call a catering kitchen inside this building. So if we bring catering trucks or barbecue trucks or even food trucks, We can actually bring them around the back side of this building, load in all of our caterings into the kitchens, and then be right back out on the delivery side. So this is our proposed site that we're looking at here. We'll go to the next page and look at the actual building itself. A few components to be aware of. The white area up to the top left of this floor plan is really our open courtyard space. One of the large program needs was a lot of outdoor space. Completely agree. Beautiful area, a lot of opportunities here. In this outdoor open space, we want to look at educational opportunities for stargazing type parties. So this outdoor courtyard space, although it is encompassed, it's very open. It's got some heavy cut stone blocks in the middle of it for seating. I know these visitor centers, they get a load of buses that come in here and dump all the kids to use the restrooms, to do what we need to. They can go sit outside, have a good time, have a picnic out in this outdoor courtyard space. So this is a large space that really frames the entrance into this building. The main gates to get into this building are the loggia that you see, the entrance patio in the middle of the page to the north. That is really the main gates that bring you into this building. You travel down that loggia, you've got your courtyard off to your right-hand side, this large open outdoor space. And then that brings you right into the entrance of the main building, which is the blue center area that you see there. This allocated space right now is the visitor center, really the intention behind that, where you have a lot of your brochures, you have some pamphlets of the history of the area. That visitor center's main focus is to greet people into this building. Moving on from that, you're entering that building to your right-hand side, page left, the darker blue area that you see there, that is an entrance directly into the restrooms themselves. These restrooms may seem like a lot, but if you're actually counting the number of people that you could fit into this building, these restrooms are appropriate and meet building codes for those numbers. You also will see an entrance directly back out to that loggia from those restrooms, so that in the instance that everything else in this building is shut down, people still may have access to those restrooms in the case that there's nobody attending that. But you could also lock it down, not entering back into the visitor center. Everything's compartmentalized here to be able to shut it down and have a difference of opinions on, or difference of entrances to everywhere. Back to the main visitors area, the middle blue space. If you move just south of that large orange area is again the exhibit hall space that we've discussed. Operationally, there's been a lot of conversations over this. What does that look like? What would that feel like? Museum of the Big Bend has been thrown out a lot, and this is a lot of opportunities to have displays, to have digital displays, TVs, video shows within this facility, artifacts, main artifacts in the middle of this building. That's why this area has grown quite a bit. We're looking at about 2,000 square feet of display and art space within there. That would be some rotational exhibits that would be inside that facility there as well. Moving back up to the main blue, middle blue area, you see the green education room that's off to the plain right-hand side. This education room is really a multi-purpose room. It can be a banquet room, it can be a banquet hall. You can host events there, seated, catered events, but it could also be a digital experience. This room would really be prepped and prepared for audio, as well as TVs within the room to do those video displays and educational opportunities. That space does open back out to that outdoor space, so we could do educational facility or educational programs inside this room for stargazing parties, and then move right back outdoors at nighttime with your green lasers and go watch the stars themselves. Just to the plain south of that, the lighter green area, this is our catering kitchen. This kitchen, again, is accessed off of the site where you can load in from the plain south. It's not a full cooking kitchen, okay? It does have warming cabinets in there to where if you had a large barbecue dinner, you could possibly accommodate up to 250 people for a sit-down dinner in this space. If you had large barbecue dinner, you have trays where you can bring those in, set them in a warming or a cooling cooler, bring those back out. The space you see in the middle there is actually a buffet table, a heated and cooled buffet table with the loop around it to be able to accommodate all of those folks. A lot of support spaces that are within there, a lot of storage spaces that are within there as well. We'll move to the bottom left-hand corner, the purple space that's there. Administration area, again, these are the visitor center's offices, the potential for any future offices. We have a large work area in this space as well. Again, we have internal built-in growth here, but also there is delivery space. So if we've got an exhibit that's coming in to the exhibit hall, and we want to prep that exhibit before it actually goes on display, you can do that inside this work area here as far as administration staff goes, and then bring that directly into the exhibit hall space. Moving back up to the top right-hand corner, again, just there are some events that we understand that do have 200 and 250 people that this facility would be used for. So we've added this alternate, what we're going to call an additional flex space. This would be an alternate in budget pricing. The pricing I'm going to show you guys already includes that in there. So if we want to start peeling back some onion layers here, that would be one space that we could do that with. But this alternate additional flex space here, another banquet hall space, another educational space, whatever that multi-purpose function can happen in there that you need, that can happen within that space. But let's say that there is an event that we need those 250 people to be seated at dining tables. We've got a movable partition wall in between these two spaces. You can utilize them separately. You can pull back that partition wall, and now you have one large open banquet hall space or educational space. I think about the many times I'm down here for conferences for Far West Texas. I mean, there's opportunities to be able to utilize this for many different things.
Just, I don't see the room like the chairs and tables.
So I'm going to jump to the screen here. Sorry. All the chairs and tables stack into this room right here. This is strictly dedicated for school. I mean, it's almost 300 square feet, but that is to put all the chairs and tables in there at one time. I know Judge and I, we had some minor conversations. Well, let's put a door from the exhibit hall space into that. I will tell you, if you put all the tables and chairs in there and then try to put other, it doesn't fit. It's all tables and chairs or a mixture of other things.
That additional flex space at the one right corner, right now is been just as an outdoor space to start with, just for construction costs in my mind. And then, but it does give us the flexibility to add that down the road. We talked about, right?
Yes, sir. So our construction costs that we're going to show you still include that space fully built out. Okay, like I said, if we wanted to take that large number that I'm going to show you, peel back some onion layers, that would be an opportunity there to say, let's put up some walls, have another outdoor space, or we can fully air condition it and move forward with it.
Is the outdoor courtyard where we're gonna put the kids to have a picnic?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Is it covered?
It's not covered. It's not covered. It's not covered. No, sir. That's not the intention behind it, because again, that can be utilized as space at night to do star parties. So we didn't want to cover that. The simple pattern, the little dot pattern, just know that L shape, that would be covered. That's the loggia that really have to be in framing that. But everything to the plane left of that is completely open. Yes, sir. So let's go to the next page, or any other questions on the floor plan? Okay. We'll go to the next page. Just some renderings and conceptual ideas of the exterior of this building here. Again, this is a view that you would see from the highway that you're looking at directly into the entrance of the building. As you can see, just the undulations, the different height variations that we're looking at here. We really wanted this to be a building that, because of the intersection and the area it's located, it stands out. People drive by it and say, what is that? Let me stop in there. This is a visitor center. This is the space that you want everybody to be able to stop at first and foremost. Let's go to the next page. A little bit more framed up on that main entrance. You can see again those main gates, that loggia that's right there in the entrance piece. I will say that the gates to the right of it would be some open iron gates that you could open up, bring larger events. It's all designed, you can bring a food truck into that courtyard space. Next picture. On the right-hand side, we're anticipating most of this building being done out of stucco, and the construction type actually being a compressed earth block, basically a rained earth block. I've done a lot of these types of facilities in this area. It's pretty efficient. but it also creates a lot of really good energy efficiency. We can utilize a lot of the natural materials around the area, create these blocks, let them kiln dry out in the sun, and then be able to create these buildings out of it. The only problem I've ever had with those blocks is we tried to leave them exposed before, and that doesn't work, so we've got to cover them all with stucco. To the left of it, because of the larger open area, the free stand space, I'm going to say, I've got to get more structural steel in there. These compressed earth blocks or rain earth blocks don't bear a whole lot of weight when it comes to construction. So on the left-hand side, we're looking at a little bit more steel or steel framing with the stone veneer on the exterior of that building. We'll go to the next slide. It's just a view from the interior courtyard looking back towards the entrance into the visitor center. We'll go to the next slide. Then again, this is off the highway here on the south entrance. Off the main banquet spaces are the educational rooms, the multi-purpose rooms. We do have a small porch on this east side of the building that's over there. Again, there's smaller events that could happen. Also think about, you've got this really nice courtyard where people are gathering for, maybe it's a wedding that's rented. That's a porch where everybody can step out to the back side of the building over there as well. Next slide. More of the back side of the building, you see all the doors on the rear of the building here on the south side. That's a pretty bland wall. Most of your heat and your sun's coming from the south side. I don't want to put a bunch of windows down there to get that solar heat gain, but we do have delivery doors to be able to get into this building, which creates a little bit more of a mundane facade on that back side. Next slide. Just some images and renderings of what the facility would look like at night. Next slide. From the front, next slide. And again, just the construction type we're looking at. Compressed earth blocks, if you've never worked with them before, it's a very great product. Again, we can use a lot of the natural dirts, the fine sifted sands around here. Combine those with just a 10% cement and water mixture. There's a couple manufacturers around here. It's just a machine, you let them kiln dry out in the sun. Very natural product to this area. I'm trying to really utilize everything that we have in this area, because I know working down in South County, it's hard to get materials down there from anywhere. So that's one of the materials we're looking at utilizing. Go to the next slide. And it also is really reminiscent of the ruins, right? So the background building that you see, that is compressed earth adobe blocks with a stone veneer on the exterior of it. I'm bringing back a little bit of the indigenous construction types in this new building, but we also want to utilize some of the dry stack stone, not from the ruins itself, but similar quarries, right? We want to really bring back and tie this whole community in with this new building, even though it's a brand new building that we're looking at. We'll go to the next slide. Again, interior colors, we start thinking about these things. When we're looking at budgets, we want to know what we're looking at. We're not trying to get too fancy, but I will say that this is a public building, as a lot different than the bunkhouse building that we just looked at. The bunkhouse building, for instance, in the shower areas, I can put tile just in the shower on the floors, but the toilet areas, I can just do that in sheetrock. I don't need that to be a really hard surface. These are people that live and breathe in there. They're going to take care of their facility, or else they're not going to have their facility. A public facility like this, when you're dumping off a load of kids from a bus to come utilize the public facilities, it's a different scenario. You're going to see a difference in budgets there. I've got to do the whole bathrooms out of ceramic tile. No matter if it's a toilet, a sink, everything gets ceramic tile around the walls and on the floors. We've got to have a washable surface in there because things happen in public facilities. Go to the next slide. Again, just light fixtures, the really difference here is we have some larger banquet type spaces. The visitor center is a really nice center space, and we want to put some chandeliers as far as lighting goes, but we're not trying to go too crazy as far as that budget goes for lighting. Go to the next slide. Exterior lighting, we're very cognizant of dark sky compliance. So we've got to make sure everything is dark sky compliance. These are just some examples. And somehow we've used a product in the past with this compressed earth block that is actually the size of one of those blocks, and it's a LED light that you actually put into that wall, and it provides that dark sky compliant path lighting. So you don't have anything protruding off the wall that could shine up or down. It's a block that shines down for that path lighting. Next slide, please. So all of this to say, we're looking at a pretty significant budget on this project, but it is something that not only meets the needs of today, based upon our 5 meetings with the entire committee, we feel it's going to meet the needs for the long-term future. Now, again, this overall budget does include fully finishing out that alternate facility that we looked at on the floor plan, okay? I do want to point out one thing on this page here. It's the second green box that you see there, the 1,331,000 and some change. My eyesight's getting bad. That is all your site development right there. That is your dirt work. That is your paving for the entire parking lot. That is your site utilities. We are anticipating utilizing, obviously, septic systems. So we want to do separate black and gray water tanks out here. Just try to bring some of that energy efficiency and that overall efficiencies into this building itself. So that's what we're looking at there, that we have to really take the biggest chunk of this entire budget is mostly in your site development that we're looking at. Go to the next page, please. You know, just the framing of itself, the $342,000, that's all in roofing. We anticipate utilizing a lot of metal roofing, but we do have some built-up roofing here. Flat roof type scenarios, because we want to put solar panels on top of the roofs. We want to use solar heating on top of this building. We're really trying to make this a very energy efficient building. Yes, it does cost more upfront, but your long-term return on investment is very healthy. Next. The windows and openings are Division 8 finishes. Again, this is where we'll go to the next page. We have a pretty healthy budget for finishes, $873,000 for interior finishes. That's your sheetrock, that's your lighting, that's your tile on all the walls or flooring throughout the facility. Next page, please. So bottom line overall budget, we're looking at roughly $5,300,000 for this entire facility. Now, your baseline construction costs, your hard construction costs are $3,549,000. I'm sorry?
I was guessing 10 after the bunkhouse was 1 million. I was going to be 10 million.
Well, good. I'm heading in the right direction. Again, we talked about our overhead, our general conditions of 25%. That's almost $1 million you're looking at in there. That is the overall management of the project itself. That 15% healthy contingency of $500,000 that I have in here, that is for the unknowns. That is also for time delays. I can tell you right now, we're seeing about a 3% per month increase in materials and a little bit less than that in labor. I mean, it's not going down.
Okay.
So the longer we wait, that's what my contingencies are really built in for. Now, if we wait another year, that's not going to cover it. It's just going to be more. So, and then we'll talk about our architectural and engineering fees that are included in that as well. So overall, $5,288,000 for this facility, including the alternate that we looked at there.
But you better make sure those hotels are full.
So,
This is clearly a large work of art for joining with. And I think there's some things that I have a couple of concerns, and we'll talk about this at another meeting. I suggested that we have a workshop, commissioner workshop, just to focus on the dorms. And this project is not as front burner as the dorm project is, because we're not doing anything until we get our final audits done by summer. So, but we got some more. My personal opinion is that we probably have some reduction in space opportunities. I worry about the exhibit hall and how we keep that. I mean, once we build it, we got to build exhibits and the work associated with that. So I think that's talking to about that. But it'll certainly be a showpiece for the interest to our community. I think that's what we were after. So, any thoughts? Check.
I imagine the septic.
Julie does the check.
what they would say.
I know.
Actually, they've been much more calm than I was.
I didn't have to duck anytime with this presentation, so I'm good.
We're still gonna visit a bunch of others, so.
Yeah, we're not over, don't need to use up all the air, right? Yeah, we got lots on the agenda, so, well, this is just the first round. And my suggestion is that maybe the next month or so, we get together and have a workshop, an open meeting workshop for us to talk specifically about these. I don't know if you ever got marathon coming in my time. So, just out of curiosity, if we talk about this, if we did SIPs instead of rammed earth or pressed earth, I don't remember what you told me, was it similar, if you could do it, SIPs cheaper?
I can't do it on the wood SIPs panel, the wood, panels that we showed you on the bunkhouse. The, visitor center is too large. So I've got a fire classification now. It's a whole different, you don't have 8 people in the bunkhouse building. You've now got 400 people that you could fit in the visitor center. So, I'm bumped up to a different fire classification now, which means no combustible materials in that building period. So going to the wood SIPs panels would be much cheaper, but we can't do it. We can look at the structural steel SIPs panels. I don't feel like there's a big cost in that, difference in that. I'm not the expert on it though, and that's part of what I would suggest, and I'll give you some information about next steps, is getting a construction manager that on board with these 3 projects. You know, these are some high level budgets that we've estimated here. But when it comes down to looking at evaluations between SIPs panels versus rain dirt, those are some things that we've got to discuss. I mean, the visitor center is going to take us 6 to 7 months to continue that design and engineering on that project. And during that, we evaluate all those materials. We would prefer to bring on a construction manager at risk, which is what we've done in our other projects down here. So that early in the design process, they can evaluate those things for us. Go out to the marketplace and say, okay, if I build this entire building out of SIPs, what would it cost versus rain dirt? Let us make an easy decision on that.
All right, a lot to digest. Anything else to report? All right, thank you, Justin.
Thank you all. Appreciate your time.
All right, we'll do number 11, discuss and take possible action regarding board position appointment to the Central Appraisal District. This is a report by Commissioner Warren.
Thank you, Judge. Y'all know I'm the county rep on the CAD, and I'm sure you'll get a report from Darren. There's been some, currently, we have 2 vacancies, the hospital district and Marathon High School. In the past, the taxing entities have said, who wants to be it? And you pick it and you're appointed by the taxing entity. Evidently, that's against the law. So now the procedure is, the CAD sends a letter to each taxing entity, and the entity nominates someone, not necessarily from, like us, not necessarily from the county, but someone to take Marathon ISD's spot. And then it has to wait 45 days, and then the board votes on it. To me, it's very cumbersome, and I don't like it, but that's what it is. So I don't, the hospital district is not ready to have told anyone who they want, but Marathon was ready before Christmas and ready to go, and it would be my recommendation, we nominate Billy Joe Rooney as the Marathon Vice Chief.
It'll be our recommendation for the Marathon position.
It's my recommendation to this court that we nominate her.
Okay.
Have you got the letter yet?
No, no. Okay. Do we need to wait on the
I
letter?
guess we need to wait on the letter. Have y'all had a letter yet?
My recommendation, I go ahead and have a vote and allow our committees to have it.
I'm all for that. And, this procedure, that was the condensed version. A team of lawyers made millions of dollars on putting this together, and it's cumbersome. It doesn't, it's
it slows people down. You know, we got one of the most qualified people in the county to serve on the CAD, ready to go, and she can't serve.
Now, each of us submits a name, right?
Each
So,
entity.
each entity, and so,
We can nominate five people.
right, and so city might nominate somebody else, and whoever gets the most votes amongst all of us, how that works. So if the city nominated Justin as their nominee, we nominated Betty, then
It goes to the board of directors.
Board of Directors.
My expectations to say,
Yeah, I mean,
I hope so. But, and I don't know about the, but like I said, the hospital had blurted out, because their rep just,
so you wanna make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that the, Brewster County nominate Betty Jo Rooney to take the, position on the CAD representing Marathon ISD.
I'll second.
Yeah, motion and second discussion.
Do I need to add in the letter for you?
Yeah, we're just subject to that letter, right, that letter's a formality, so. All right, motion is second, no further discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So Ruben, well, but we still got the vote, so. Okay, anything else?
No, that's it. I appreciate it. Thank you.
We need to vote on it again. We'll vote on it again.
I think we're on.
I'd rather vote on it too many times than others.
Yeah. All right, number 12, discuss and take action to approve the members of the Brewster County Historical Committee for 2025. Finally, y'all get to talk. You might introduce yourselves to the court. I know we know you.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Thank you for having us. My name is Elizabeth Lewis. I'm one of the co-chairs of the Brewster County Historical Commission in the fiscal week trial, who I just successfully roped into helping me, and I'm so excited to have her on board. We have been working essentially since Travis passed several years ago to try to get reorganized, and only taken us 3.5 years, but we're here. So we have to confirm membership in January of odd number years. Basically, we're here today to just propose the membership that we already have. We broke it down into active membership, or active members, honorary members, and inactive members. I believe you should all have a list in front of you. If you don't, I made extra copies, of course. We have to have at least 7 members on the commission, and we can't have more than 25. So, and that's active members. I think we're in a good spot now with our proposed list, but if you have any questions, please let us know.
All right, so looking at the list, the active members is what we're proposing to put on the board of directors.
Yeah, yes, Judge.
Okay. All right, and that's what I'll have to, because I've got to send this list to the Texas Historical
Right.
Commission, okay?
Yes, so the active members are what we're really focused on now. The others are just, I guess, informational purposes. The issue is that people can kind of float between active and inactive based on how many meetings they're attending. If you haven't made the last 3 meetings, you're moved to inactive. And I think based on a vote at one of our quarterly meetings, you could then move back to active status. So we may need to present all of these names to the Texas Historical Commission.
Okay. Is it your anticipation to shrink the size of this board a little bit over time, or are you going to keep it with this many people?
Julie and I were just talking about this before the meeting started. The active members, the people that you see on the active member list, are essentially at every meeting aside from one. So I would anticipate that list would essentially stay the same.
Okay.
I think that gives us a good number. And, you know, just so that commissioners know, we're working on hopefully in the near future redoing our bylaws. We have 11 committees right now. We're a commission where we have maybe 10 people showing up to meetings that we're looking, so that's way too many committees. We're gonna have to shrink that size. We're really focusing on the marker and the cemetery committees right now. They're doing a lot of work, and it's really important work for our purposes. So I think that we really need everybody on that list. They're a great asset to the commission. I'd like to see that number stay somewhat the same.
Yeah, because I'm kind of pushing these days that, I mean, most of the boards that we appoint people to are, I would consider to be working boards. There's very few honorary boards anymore. And so I really want people to, if they're gonna be on these boards, to show up. I understand life gets in the way, you can't make the meetings. Then, life gets in the way, there's no hard feelings, but we really want people to show up and help out. That really helps us as commissioners court to know that we've got full participation from our members. So, I make a motion that we accept the active members as listed for the county historical. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay.
And what is the point of the inactiveness? How do they fit?
Good question. I think that we're definitely gonna address that with our bylaws too. A lot of the people on this list, to be just totally honest and transparent, I haven't seen them at the meetings since I've been on the commission. I think Travis had it set up that way. I know that he was really diligent about honoring membership, to honor people in the community that maybe want to have a role, just not a voting role. Inactive, I think it's just a way of saying you were on the commission and you stopped showing up to meetings and now we moved you here. And then that gives us an opportunity to vote on it later and say, okay, Mr. So-and-so hasn't been here for the last 15 meetings, maybe we can just vote to let him be on his way and on it, on about his business. I don't know that there is actually a functional purpose.
Okay, all right, great, thank you guys.
Thank you.
All right, number 13, review and take action to approve bond and notes for the following county officials. Let me just say that I'm going through all of the bonds that we have. We've sort of been lacking in our paperwork and documentation of our paperwork, so these are going to start coming through. They all have to be approved by Commissioners Court. Commissioner Ortega, your bond is up since you just renewed your commissioner position, and then Sylvia Vega has a bond that has to be able to govern the state of Texas for her tax assessor role. So these are just administrative functions. I make a motion that we approve Ruben Ortega's bond for $3,000 as required by the state law. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. I make a motion that we approve Sylvia Vega's tax assessor $22,000. That's down from $53,000. Last year we had $53,000. Now it's a $22,000 bond payable to the governor of the state of Texas. That's what the state asked for.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Okay. Number 14, discuss and take action to approve the following contracts. 2 contracts on the thing. Ruben, you and I talked about the uniform thing, and I ended up deciding I had a little bit of buyer's remorse and me having to handle the uniforms. So I got me first to come in, and they were going to provide the uniforms for $47 a month now instead of $105.
It's pretty good.
Which is a good cut. The guys will do their own laundry, okay, but if they tear up a shirt or a pair of pants, they turn them back in and the universe gives them cover. We bought a little insurance on them, so if they destroy them or lose them, we're not having to buy them, we buy them and sell. That gives us a little room in the budget. Our budget is $10,000 this year for uniforms. That's going to cut that budget pretty much in half. And in return for that, I talked to Johnny, and depending on what he likes and not, I don't mind get the guys, I go get the guys some vests. We buy the boots now. So as long as they're steel toe boots, they buy their own boots and we reimburse it for them, right? So for Friday, the shirt, the pants, the boots, we'll get them some vests. We're going to logo all of the uniforms now with the Brewster County seal on them, so it sort of has a nice look when they're out there in the field and they're representing the county. So, make a motion to accept the contract. Second. Okay, motion is second. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you all. Number 14, grant administration services. So we have approved, some commissioners court, a few courts back, we approved the USDA, pursue USDA, which is for fire mitigation. It basically is, gosh, we don't know how much the money is. We have to go back and do it. But it's a sizable amount of money. It's not a matching grant. It's a full, is it reimbursement? It's a reimbursement grant, but it's not matching. Anyway, we've approved to apply for it. We have applied for it. We're working through the contract right now. This is the contract for the grant administrator, which is Langford. They were the one that won the bid. They're actually the only ones that bid for the administrative services. I've looked at this agreement and there's no cost to us. The cost of their grant writing comes out of the grant. Actually, added to the grant, it's up to 8%. So depending on the size of the contract. James and I have had several meetings about this. I think it's a good thing if you get the grant. It basically is mostly for cleaning up around public buildings and public areas for fire.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
When will you know?
We're gonna know, I think we'll know by early spring when we get the grant. So they're administrators putting in the work now. There's no cost to us.
There's no hope for anything if we don't get the grant.
That's correct. It's all them. If we don't get the grant, it costs us nothing. If we get it, their fees are paid out of the grant. So this is, I make a motion to accept this grant. Second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Ruben seconded. Number 15, review, discuss, and take appropriate action to declare certain items in the district clerk's office as salvage. Imagine this, we've got more computer, I just need a approval from the court to declare it as salvage, so we can haul it off.
We declare salvage.
Motion and a second. At the end of the day, we put, Jenny and Leah put all this computer stuff on the auction site to see who might want to buy it. And we got this many bids. Okay, we kept it on there for how many weeks? A month? We got this many bids. So believe it or not, we're gonna have to pay somebody to haul all this electronic gear off. It's not terribly expensive, but we have it probably in that project money.
We can't take it to health audits.
They have an electrical deal.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can take it there because they use the same people to haul it off. The quantity we're gonna be hauling there, but I'll push it to see if they'll take it.
Something ones I want.
One
I
year.
was gonna say, I'll take some of this.
Anyway, if anybody wants that computer equipment, when
When's
you're a
Bernie?
nonprofit organization or a charity, we can give it to you. I can't swear that it's in working order, but the reason it is junk
As
is,
is where it is.
yeah, so, motion is second, any discussion, any further discussion, all in favor, say aye.
I missed you. Second. Did you get it, Sarah? Did you get the names for the motion in a second, because I missed it? I got more than there you
Yeah, Marlo will take where we go.
go.
All right, number 16, Casey, you've got some 911 stuff for us. Yeah. Bearcat, Longhorn, Cougar, and something.
Oh, yeah, we got a few roads to add this morning. Pretty standard business on these first ones. The last one, we'll have to talk about a little bit, but to get it kicked off, these first three roads that we're gonna talk about, these are a part of Bonnie, Miss Wonderlick, and her properties, so they are all 100% within her property boundaries, okay? Every one of these is indeed a private road that they will all belong to her. Her anticipation is that she wants to maybe have a couple of Airbnbs, that type of thing. She wants to name these roads so that we know where to go if somebody's in trouble. So we're not necessarily going to address off of these roads. Again, this is more so the ingress for first response, okay? First one being Bearcat Canyon Road, and my printer quit on me, so did this end up on the drive, all of the map images? Okay, fabulous, fabulous. All right, so this first one, Bearcat Canyon Road, this is the longer of the three roads and kind of that main thoroughfare through all of her parcels there. I didn't find any conflict as far as it being a unique name or anything like that. So this one is good to go with your approval.
Casey, I want to ask you a question. When you're doing these roads for not only private, but for other roads out there, are you making it clear that just because we're naming the road does not mean we're taking it into the county?
Yes, I do. I make that very clear.
Well, I'm building a road and I'm hoping the county will take it in. So,
So my suggestion to people, when they ask about that, is this is private. If you want that to be a county road, you go do the homework. You go talk to your commissioner, you go do that, because that's not what I do. So, yeah.
Yes, but defer to us, but our appetite for taking on new county roads is very, very small.
Understandably so, it's a big county. So there's a lot of county roads. All right, so we have Bearcat Canyon Road, and that's about the most, to discuss on that one.
All right, so we need to approve Bearcat, Longhorn, and Cougar all at once, since they're
All
all.
at once, okay, moving on then, Longhorn Road. Longhorn Road is going to be this little section right here. I wanted to connect it all the way to the highway, but it's hard to see in the image, just above that storage tank, there's a little yellow dot. That's an address for an Airbnb that she has. If I were to continue in front of that, we'd have to adopt Longhorn as the address, right? She wanted to maintain the highway, so while there is technically access all the way to the highway, we cut it short for that reason, so. Way that I can kind of manipulate it to make it work for everybody, but this is just another access road. I don't anticipate any addresses off of that road. It's merely for the ingress for first response.
All right, Cougar.
And then Cougar is up in the northeast section of Bearcat, all right? Just a little bit further on down the road, we've got a little more access back in there for her. And these are mostly, I believe, hiking trails, ATV at the very most. It's not really, you know, anything we take an ambulance back in, anything like that. But it is indeed point out to dispatch where these access points are, the ingress to the location.
We won't be accept the that road.
Motion to accept the Bearcat, Longhorn, and Cougar as main roads on this property.
I'll second.
Second, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. All right, Bighorn and East Elena, or Elna. Is it Elena or Elna?
It is Elna. It is indeed Elna. So I really anticipated for these to be two separate items. They're completely different locations. I'm going to kick it off with Bighorn Road. This is in Barbara Trammell's region. Barbara Land is what I call it. But this road does provide, there is legal easement. It's already been determined. But it provides access to a number of parcels back along there. You can see how many parcels there are. Those are starting to move in the real estate world. And a lot of the roads I bring you is because somebody bought, right? And now we need an address. So that is indeed the case back in here. This isn't very far off of the main highway, off of Highway 118, carries on to North County and then right into Bighorn. I think this is the first turn, honestly, out of North County Road. But either way, this would be that primary access for all of the parcels that you see it touches there. I will likely be coming back at a later date to work on the other roads that are in the area as well. But this will get us kicked off for the parcels that they are currently under contract on or are trying to list.
It's a pretty country back in here.
It really is. And really, it's not, according to my imagery, it's not a terrible road. They do actually cut roads back in there. When you first get onto it, it looks a little like an ATV only trail, but really it is pretty decent access back in there.
All right, I make a motion we accept Bighorn Road.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, now what's next?
Okay, this one we may have to talk about for a minute. This is on Terlingua Ranch. This has been a big conversation. What is a road? What is the easement? What are we doing in Terlingua Ranch?
Is that passable?
It is passable, allegedly. After a rain? Yeah, no, after a rain, that's a different conversation, right? We'd have to call Dennis right away to get it worked on. So this road does not currently exist within my data. However, it is on the original plat maps.
Okay.
So this puts us in a rock and a hard place because I know technically those roads don't have legal easement declared. I know we've had a lot of conversations with us, Commissioner Colondo specifically, and I have talked a lot about this. Haley as well, property management down in Terlingua Ranch. We're all on this situation and really try to make sense of it. So here's what I got. I have a road that doesn't exist in my data, but real estate's moving along it. So all these parcels along it, they need addresses, but to issue the addresses off of another road does not make sense for first response. So I really am in a rock and a hard place on this. I don't know if we need to honor the original plat map, regardless of what the easement wording is or what we need to do from here. And honestly, I want your opinion on this because this is the first one I've brought to you that isn't in my data, but is on the original plat. So it really does raise some
deviate at all
questions.
from the original plat? Because the plat up there was a grid pattern and the roads often can't go in straight lines. So
It should be a straight line. You're right about that. It nonetheless does provide that access through there. So it technically could not go straight through there. And I do have that, for the record, the poetry maps, the one that we're looking at where you would see this reference is the west-north Corozonas, or maybe northwest Corozonas, okay? That's the map that I looked at to find this reference. But yeah, the big question is, do we honor what the plat map says? Because at this point, I need to issue addresses, and I don't have a road to issue addresses off of.
living along those sections?
No, nothing is improved at this point, but again, real estate's moving out there.
Is there traffic moving up and down that? Proposed road?
Couldn't tell you.
not much, I would say.
I wouldn't imagine much.
Is that the little yellow dots or structures?
No, those are addressing points. Unfortunately, in the past, because this road wasn't there, I don't want to throw people under the bus here, but those addresses were issued off of Thorn Road, even though they're not on Thorn Road. So when I do get this eventually fixed, I am gonna have to go back to whoever those property owners are and let them know, you have a new address, it's technically off of this road. So,
Maybe now, maybe later, you're gonna be back in here later, or we'll do it now.
mhm,
This is strictly for 911 purposes.
yes,
It's not like we're gonna build a county road in there.
no,
I don't know why we wouldn't want to get ahead of it and name it, and when people buy it, one day somebody will buy those sections and go.
that's right.
Let's go ahead and name it.
So I can have a name.
And now we got a name.
Yeah, and it does. West Elmer was there already, and if you look at the roadways to the north, there's the same format. We have a west Red Bluff, east Red Bluff, so I feel really confident about that. I know,
Have you been on this,
I have, yes.
have you been on East Elma Road?
I mean, I couldn't tell you for sure, it's not like there's a sign up there, but I've been all up like in there, and I've been stuck in the mud up there.
I bet.
Well, I think we go ahead and just name it myself.
Yeah.
I mean, you're already there, why
Yeah.
can't you just down the road?
My only question is, you see that, parcel directly above the red line where it meets Redden's Bluff?
Yes,
That is currently not being accessed, but I assume that the plat does have it
that's right. You're exactly right about that.
attached to Redden's Bluff off back.
So I don't know what to do about that. You know, I've followed the road as it sits on the ground, because again, this is all connected to dispatch. Well, we all benefit from the maps, it's dispatch that needs to understand them. So I agree with you. Yeah, the access is technically for those parcels to the north there, and you can see it very clearly in that Corozonas map that's online. I don't know what to do with that problem, because yeah, you're right. The access should be along those parts, in which, but as we all know, these parcel boundaries are not at 100% accurate, right? They're roughly where it's at, right? So, yeah, you're right. That is a problem, but from a 911 perspective, I need to show them where to turn.
Absolutely.
So it kind of causes
I don't want to stop you from naming the road. I think
Yeah.
for future-proof planning, I'm imagining whoever buys that property is gonna get a survey done and realize that they don't have access. And then they're gonna call Dennis or whoever is
Yes.
working at the ranch at that time and ask them to cut a road where the road is supposed to go. And then you're gonna have a fork in East Elmer Road. And what are you,
possibly,
what are you gonna call that?
absolutely,
We'll figure that out when we get there, but
east, no.
very east, I don't know.
Yeah, very east on it.
Yeah, I'll need that, I like that.
Oh, I like it.
Then
So there you go.
I have no problem with the naming, because obviously,
Okay.
yeah, I'll make the motion to, add East Elma Road, private road to the MSAG database.
Second.
All right, motion and a second, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
What else you got?
All right, only one thing, and it's a big one. We have officially come online with the Eagle View platform. This is part of that $1.5 million grant that we were issued last year in order to develop this platform out.
I am able to extend a login to anybody that wears a government hat. This means that you guys, roads department, doesn't matter. If you wear a government hat, you can have access to my maps. You can see the true addressing, the true road names. Once we get the county road project nailed down and I have some good data to throw out there to the world, that'll be part of something you can see. Voting precincts are on there. Our hospital and school districts are on there. The CAD data is also on there. So while you're looking at addressing points, you can research it just like I do in my office. I'm looking at CAD data, I'm combining the two and making it all make sense. We are ready to go with this. It took me a couple of weeks to configure it and get it ready and all that, but I'm ready now. So if you have anybody that's within government, be it city, county, does not matter to us, state even, let me know, get in touch with me and we will get you signed up for it, so.
I suspect on every commissioner, including myself, will want that, so.
Oh yeah, everybody wants it.
Just put us all on the list and send us the passwords.
And this will be so helpful, I know with compliance and the certifications that you give within your office, right, for new electric, things like that. This is your opportunity to be able to look at that and tell 100%, is that a real address that they're giving you or not? You know, this is gonna give you a tool to really understand what's truly an address and what is not. So, and if there isn't one there, then you send them my way and I'll take care of them and get them an address. So this is a big deal, very big deal. Oh yeah, Jake and I we're buds. As a matter of fact, we have a very successful workflow and I have it with every CAD within the COGS region. If I've gotten a request and I notice the citizen address is either missing or incorrect, I right then and there, I'm emailing the letter to the resident and I'm also emailing it to Jake and he's going into the county record and updating that citizen address that day. So we're cleaning up county record by having that workflow in place and this platform helps Jake immensely. I have a couple of test monkeys out there that have kind of been using the platform. Laura Nussbaum has been using it quite a bit. Your elections office, they use District Viewer to look at, you know, addressing and voting precinct information. It's derived from census data. Well, that's not updated all the time. So we definitely had a gap there where she wasn't really completely able to understand addressing, road names, and what's the range of addressing on a road. They need to know that too. This gives them that ability. I know the feedback from Laura has been tremendous. Both she and Melissa in the office are using it right now. So, as well as Jake.
When do you think that Johnny and Ruben and myself?
I can do it today. I can sign you up today.
Well, I'm talking about that county road map we talked.
Oh, let's meet. Let's get to, I'm ready. Yes. And I'm so glad I printed out all those maps before my printer died because I think I have 177 individual maps for every single county roadway that I was like able to identify through spreadsheets notes. Okay, that's what I have. So we may have a couple extras or, you know, something in there, but we'll figure that out in our meeting. What do you mean? My roads right now, I don't have any designation on whether they're private, state, county. For 911 purposes, we do not classify our roads because it really doesn't matter to us, right? We're able, James and his crew, they're able to travel any road they need to get to you, right? So that's actually something and why we've had to do this community or county road project. I didn't have that classification in my data. I just had a whole bunch of roads. Yeah. Not yet. Not yet. Now, once we're able to get together and nail it down, all right, Casey, those roads you found, here's what we have, we meet in the middle, we've got it all nailed down. I will create an additional layer that you'll be able to access through that platform that would only be the county roads. So it would eliminate all the privates, eliminate the states, the US highways. You would only see county roads at that point. So it's gonna be really, really helpful. Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because she's asking about official maps and what you're talking about, we're like, for informational purposes only, but you gotta have that disclaimer at the bottom, that this is not legally binding.
Yes. Oh, yeah, what you'll be able to see today is exactly that. This is informational. These are the roads that 911 has recognized. Yes, some of them are counties, some of them are state highway, whatever. But it's really more just for understanding where these roadways are within our county. Through more meetings with these guys, we will have that nailed down eventually. What is a county road? Where does it start? Where does it end? What is it, right? What's the surface type? Whose precinct is it in? What's the maintenance schedule on that? A lot of information goes into that, and that's what we're gonna sit down and nail down. Another aspect to that is, what does the county call a road and what do I call a road? There are some discrepancies, right? It can either be something simple like street and road, but meeting in the middle is really kind of crucial at this point because the public has two different understandings of a name, and that isn't helpful, you know, so.
Okay, all right, well, very good. We'll get in touch with you and we'll set up a meeting with Ruben and Johnny and I to talk to you about.
Thank you. I appreciate it, guys.
Thank you. All right. Number 17, Superintendent's Report, Road and Bridge.
Well, we've been really busy trying to do some stuff here and there. We finally finished up Hackberry and finally finished Madrone. And we moved the equipment over to Wagon Road so we can start on Rim Drive. We also went down south last week with some patching material and patched through River Ranch Road. Guys are back up there today.
Thought I saw them going down on my way
They're
up.
on Turning Ranch Road today?
Yes.
Good.
We're gonna do something different, so we can get the phone call off of Mike.
Yep.
Yeah, I was waiting for that big one, about 5.5 miles down the road. It's still open. I'm like,
They got there last week, but they didn't have enough.
they didn't have enough, yeah.
material. So this morning they took something else up there.
You should have gone to the end and started with the forward instead of forward.
Yeah, it's important to drive the whole road before you decide, you know, where it's needed.
And then we did some patching on the Wagon Road. And I had to run the peak to El Paso. It had a broken thermostat head on it, so it's up there. We also worked on some signs that the kind of wind blew over around the area. And that's basically it, just trying to catch up on things.
Well, thank you for getting on that. I know there's lots of roads.
Yeah.
And we're kind of putting our finger in the eye, but thanks for throwing the ranch road, because I've been getting calls, I'm sure Ruben has, and Sarah, and so thank you for staying on
But
that.
we're trying to do the best we can with the people we have.
Sure.
We're slowly getting there. Slowly getting there.
I talked to Johnny, and I think we're gonna fill two positions with just laborers. And we have some other guys, I mean, our bank guys, that way they give us a couple more laborers and a couple of vehicles to spread the preparation. This was stuff that we need to get done. And we leave that one position open for.
Johnny, I've got some fresh logos for you to put on the side of the maintainers and so forth. I know some of the logos are pretty wore out. I really want to make sure our equipment's identified.
That also,
That's it.
and that road's coming in tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay, and I have one more thing on that. I'm gonna get a bid on that, to put a cover over the, generator and rest of the. We'll kind of maybe it will move it still, it'll still get air, but,
Because the rain's getting on top of it.
well, not so much the rain and,
What rain, right?
you know, the sprinkler on that.
Oh, sprinkler, that's right. Okay,
There's, turn that back.
okay. Thank you for that.
Anything else, Johnny?
No permits
Okay.
requested.
All right, let's move on then. Let's do emergency management, James.
Sorry, one thing, I'm gonna give bad news, but I'll say that for last.
Okay.
So, went through the courthouse, our courthouse here, we had bad AEDs, and expired for like 15 years. So,
That's a defibrillator for people who don't know that.
Yes, but we do now have brand new AEDs in the courthouse, so we are good. If you need some, either of you need some, AEDs in your area, let me know. I can get them all over.
I tell people they're not allowed to have a heart attack.
That's why I tell them to, but no.
All right, so my question is, if we've been 15 years without ever checking, we must have, because if it expired that long, what's our program to make sure?
So, Dave was actually doing a really good job inspecting them every day, and we had fresh pads, and we have, stop and bleed kits and a bunch of other stuff in there, just the machines were old. And a lot of the machines were not covered. Well, I wouldn't say not covered up in warranty, well, they weren't covered up in warranty, they were 15 years old. They were just old models, so
Yeah, they know they operate a little bit different today than they did 15 years ago.
Right.
How they shop.
Yeah, and so if we've gotten training on how it's supposed to be used, we might go to an old unit and not know how to use it.
Right.
The old ones, we 15 years in the year in certified. And we didn't realize it was 15 years ago.
Time flies when you're having
the fire department now has capability to train people on the new AED, so we do.
Yeah, well, let's talk about getting the county employees trained up on that.
Yes. Perfect. Talked to Cindy Martin this morning.
Yeah.
The quote came drastically under what the other one was.
Good.
They also gave us $2,000 credit.
Perfect.
So,
Little background, last year we brought in, every year we bring in the citizens market to come in and look at all of our fire apparatus, our heavy fire apparatus, because it makes no sense to drive a fire truck all the test that whole thing. And no one really can do a whole change, so we brought them in, it ended up being kind of a train wreck in terms of the building. We were sitting on the other long story before you details, but we got it straightened out, so that's good. And they gave us significant less than.
yeah, they actually gave us invoices this time, so hey, it's great, it's a step in the right direction. I know the burn ban was approved for the last meeting, the dates and everything matched, so we're good to go. I'm glad we approved it, I want to keep it in effect. We had a brush fire this weekend. It was some sparks from a rim that was driving down the road. The guy didn't realize he was driving with no tires and making sparks all the way down the road. And even though the weather was 20 degrees, it was burning really well. It went, the winds helped it drastically. So it was awesome. 67, yeah. It's just past Bend Road. You'll start seeing on your left-hand side. But yeah, it was burning really good. So surprisingly enough, Pecos County lifted their burn ban. I don't know why. So apparently as soon as the fire hits the county line, it stops. So that's good news on Pecos County. But looking at that map that was given to us by the grant writers from Langford, the north part of Brewster County is a hot spot. So we're gonna keep looking, we'll stay on top of that. And now the bad news.
There we go.
Executive order M2513 that was established yesterday, January 27th, has put a temporary pause on all grants. So unless we are approved for a grant, it's temporarily on pause until the government overlooks these grants and reapproves them. So anything we had in the works is on pause.
Do we know
It's federal or state.
do we know if the order applies to money that we have spent and we're waiting for reimbursement? I don't think.
No, anything that's been approved is still go, but anything that's pending
Like
is
our wall.
like a wildlife grant. That might be okay, just for the fact that it's a state grant and not a federal grant.
Well, that's
Oh, it's USDA.
Yeah, a lot of our federal grants are administered by the states.
So I haven't heard from Langford. This is actually sent to me by Lexington. Lexington will let me know. So I'm just gonna stand by until we hear something good from him. Other than the bad news, nothing else to report. Any questions?
Thanks, sir.
Thanks, Jay.
All right, number 19 is going to be the treasurer's office financial report updates.
Good morning.
Got you on the financial report, and we're going to do workers' comp within your investment report. and your monthly financial, I don't care what order.
Okay, let me start with my, monthly financial report for December. At the end of December, the total cash on hand, $16,737,009. The total interest, that we earned for December, it was $57,126. With the average interest rate being 4.41%. To go over the revenues in general fund, property tax. At the end of December, we took in $2,020,415 in property tax collections. No, I'm sorry. That's the total revenue for the whole general fund. Property tax collections was $1,580,748 at the end of December.
And I would be surprised if we took in half of our budget in December, but, so we took a fourth of our budget.
So, at the end of December, that was, we had collected 66% of our, property taxes. I looked at the end of December in 2024, and we had collected, $1,477,379, which was, 65% collection. So we're a little over 1% at the end of December as compared to last year. Excess tax proceeds, we finally got our chunk of change from the previous tax sales that were held. $38,940 was the county share. Mixed drink tax. So we started in December, we finally collected our first payment for mixed drink and sales tax. Because in December, we collect October's, they're 2 months behind. October sales tax was $87,247. Mixed drink tax was $9,086. Federal prisoners and other county prisoners, federal prisoners was $63,686. Other county prisoners was $15,139. That's it as far as the revenues, highlights in general fund. Hotel motel funds, we've taken in $361,270. At the end of December.
So there's one number about what truck. So we've taken about $1.4 million in revenue and property taxes in December, but our budget's $4 million. Lots of name, it's $4.5 million. That doesn't sound like 66%.
What's that for?
So because we took in $1.4 million in property taxes against a budget of $4.5 million.
At the end of December last year in 2024, we had taken in 1.47 million. And this year at the end of December, we've taken in 1.58. That's 66% remaining to collect.
So yeah, 60% remaining. That's not 66%
Remaining.
of our budget, okay.
Sorry.
So we're taking in about, really about a quarter of our money.
And I do have some January figures for property taxes if you wanna. Maybe you can.
Just out of curiosity, since we're.
So, yeah, I was looking at some receipts the other day and to run these. We have, this is looking at M&O. We have a budget of 4.7 million. Through January the 8th, we had 2,000,004 that had come in. And then we had another receipt of almost 600,000. So at just a few days ago on the 21st, we had roughly 2.6 million that we had collected. So that's about 56%. And I said, well, that seemed a little low. And I spoke with Sylvia because last year at the end of January, we had taken in 73%. And she said that, and the same percentages are consistent on the interest and sinking fund. So it wasn't like something got miscoded, it's just, that's what the percentages are. She said that last year, especially this year, December, has been a little slow, but that it's picking up in January, and she expects those percentages to be in line by the time we get to the end of this month, at the end of next week, or this week, I guess. And then if you look at what is collected going forward, there's another big chunk that's usually collected by roughly April or May as the tax protests start getting sorted out. So it's gonna kind of trickle down for the rest of the year for that remaining roughly 25%. And our overall collection on property taxes is around 95-96%. So there's about 5% that is
Yeah,
not
and
collected, so,
we take that
yeah.
into our.
Budget,
our
it's in the budget.
Yeah, well, protests are done. Are they still doing, tell me they're not, they're still doing protests. That's all settled, right? So you're current on your taxes or late on your taxes as of February 1st. I mean, I don't think we're,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think we're in process.
I'm sorry, I've been looking at, I've got my years mixed up.
so,
But there are a lot of them that trickle in delinquent for whatever reason.
yeah. That worries me.
The protest timing would be for this upcoming tax year, I'm sorry.
Okay, all right, what else you got? That's, we need to approve.
Do you have any other questions for my December report?
We need to approve the rate. Motion to approve the monthly financial report.
I'll second.
Motion is second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, let's go backwards. Let's do the investment report next.
Okay. So, I'm presenting my, quarterly investment report for October through December 31st. For the quarter, our first quarter of FY 25, we earned, $182,899.33, with an average interest rate between our regular checking, our pools, at 4.49%. We have some CDs that are hotel motel funds invested. When our initial investment was $975,000, and we're at $1,060,122. We also have some CDs with general fund revenue. Our initial investment with those was $900,000, and we have earned $52,627 so far. Do y'all have any questions on my investment report?
Let me ask you a question. We've got, I get real confused on the CD program. Well, we still have CDs, but they're rolling off.
Yes.
We're not staying in that program. We're moving everything to the pool, right? So as those CDs mature,
Yes.
we're going out of the CD and into the pool, which is fine.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and so.
They're laddered out, so they have different
Right.
maturity dates.
And then, so do we keep tourism money commingled with our general fund? They're separate,
They're
right?
separate.
Okay. And then our general fund has 6.5 million in it. We're earning a 4.3. Are we sweeping that to the pool for another, because that's another 50 basis points, so we can earn $6.45 million. Do we sweep that general operating?
No, not right now.
Yeah.
I'll come up with,
Because we're flush with cash. So in my mind, we ought to be really milking the interest rate right now. As we get to July, we're running lower on cash because all our tax collectors are coming in and we don't need that money. So I'm thinking, could we sweep that market in 4.89 versus 4.3? It's not a ton of money, but 50 basis points on $5 million, which I'm saying.
I'll figure out.
Something we all talk, we talk about it in advance, because,
Okay,
I think that, and then Texas Tourism Hotel Motel, that's sitting in, that's their operating account, right?
yes, we're checking,
And that's sitting in Transpacific?
yes.
Okay. Okay, that's all I have.
I'll move to approve the first quarter fiscal year 2025 investment report.
I'll second.
Motion and a second, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Let's do B, and I'll take B, Julie, on workers' comp. You guys will look at your, treasurer's report, item B is in Bravo. No, there's no attachment. I don't know where it is. Where is it?
Treasurer report.
2025-01-23 underscore instructions, start reading. I have to tap like 47 times in order to open it. Attachment.
Yeah, the one says 2025 instructions. Something it is up there.
Yeah.
I just want you guys to see how our workers' comp program works. If you, this is just, information. In 24, if you look at the bottom of the second page, our payroll, we estimated our payroll at 4.3 million. It actually came in at 5.1 million. The downside of that is we'll owe additional premiums on that.
Okay.
Part of it is skewed because we carry the volunteer fire departments into that. And they don't have a payroll, so we just have to estimate what their payroll is. And they've grown their fire departments to a larger number. Same thing with the reserve deputies. We don't pay them, but we carry them on our workers' comp. So there's part of that is the difference. But we're gonna straighten it out in 25. You guys know we're on the reporting system, so we guesstimate where our payroll is. At the end of the year, we tell them what it is, and hopefully there's not much of a gap, so that we don't owe more money. If anything, it'd be nice to have a refund, but we're trying to get it right on the nose if we can. And if you go to the third page, it actually shows us our workers' comp rates. We're in the pool, we're in the TAC risk pool for workers' comp. And I gotta tell you, it's interesting, the volunteer fire departments are $3 per 100.
Yeah.
Law enforcement's $1.50. I think that's really cheap. In my workers' comp, and when I had my business, a river guide was $12 a 100. So, of course, most of our money is in office and clerical at about 15 cents a 100, so that's pretty nice. So I think overall our rates are good. No, or heavy trucks, or loaders or whatever, so. And I will tell the court that we had a meeting with risk management, in fact, that our workers' comp claims are low, so our losses are low. Same thing in our health insurance, but particularly in workers' comp, so safety. That saves us a lot of money. And that's a reflection of our rates. So if we start having a bunch of accidents, you're gonna see these rates go up. So I think we're in a real good position. This is just information I know you want to see. Somebody asked you about workers' comp, not that we live and die on workers' comp, but interesting stuff.
I'm glad you explained that, because when I saw that report in the packet, I was confused by the volunteers lines.
Yeah, so we kind of report, the way we have to do is we report 35 volunteers, even though we don't quite have that many, because you never know. And we have to put our $5,200 per volunteer fire. So at 35, that's about $90-something thousand that we have to pay premiums. Problem is that I've got James and Sheriff managing those numbers, so, we don't want to declare 35 and we only have 10 on the staff, maybe 35. So, okay. Any other questions about that? Any other financial reports, Treasurer?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's do comptroller, general bills, budgets, and line item adjustments.
We have two packets for bill pay today. The first one is where we paid bills this past Tuesday. And that totaled 34,000 for the general fund. And there was another 11,000 split out between the other various funds for a grand total of 45,404.74. And these are bills that were under the 10,000 amount. If you look at the second packet, we have the bills that are being paid today. For the general fund, we have 72,797.46. For the other funds, we have 1,461.22, for a grand total of 74,258.68. And if you go back and look at, the first page, you'll see that a big chunk of that is the 45,000 that we're paying to the appraisal district in the first quarter of 25. And then the other big chunk of it is the 17,189.08. And that is non-departmental, and this is something that I want to go over with, the judge in the finance meeting tomorrow, but if y'all, I'm in the process right now, absolutely buried up to my eyeballs in putting together a new chart of accounts, and this gives us an opportunity to categorize departments and expenses in a way that makes a lot more sense to provide information to department heads and you guys in our reporting system that y'all will have access to. So what I'm trying to do is to have that make sense. So for example, one of the suggestions that the judge had was, are you going to be able to tell me how much have I spent on the emergency services center in Marathon versus the one in Terlingua versus the environmental information and that kind of thing? Are we going to be able to look and see overall how much have we spent on utilities? That's what I'm working on putting together. So if there's anything that you guys would like to be able to see a report on and see it broken out in a certain way, now is the time to tell me, because that is what I'm working on this week. And as an example, in here, one of the things we have a category called 409. So we've got 17,000 in there. That's actually made up of some tax collection. That's 1,750. There's a pretty good chunk of advertising. I think that was about 10. There is autopsies, 3,000. Indigent defense, legal payments, 4,630. We are in total about 12,000 on that for the year. We've got a $50,000 budget. And then we've got some legal fees, $5,950. And I'm thinking that not all of these, we've got some things that would be non-departmental. But I think there are some things that we might want to look at splitting out to the various departments. Because like autopsies has nothing to do with the commissioners or finance or road and bridge or anything like that. That's more a JP type expense. So would it make sense to categorize some of those where we can see, you know, how they affect that department? That might change the way we do the budgeting a little bit. So for next year, you know, so again, that's something that I'm going to go over with the judge, and if y'all have any input on that, please. Now is the time to tell me, because I'm working on this right now.
The next meeting is 9 o'clock tomorrow.
9:30.
9:30 tomorrow.
Yes.
So
So that's just,
I've got all this on my list to talk to you about.
yeah, so that's just something to kind of keep in mind.
Let me tell you one item, Linebarger, has a $1,753 payment to, line item 010409209, collection service of your JP. I don't see a budget, I see zero in the budget line. Did you check that? I showed them we don't have a budget for it.
Okay.
I showed 409209 zero budget. So. And then here's the autopsy. Man, these autopsies, now they're $3,000. I bet we got top.
It's going to be 1,700.
Any other questions about the bills? Make a motion to accept the bills as presented.
I'll second. And
Yeah. Yeah. All right. It's listing. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, what else we got?
We have a couple of, line item transfers. The first one is for your office, Judge. It is to move $1,515.06 from office supplies to equipment less than 5,000, to cover the purchase of some new desks. And then,
Any more talking
and then, the next one is a little bit more, could be a little confusing. And we have a grant, 933, which is an Operation Lone Star grant, that we have funds in the budget for overtime. But we did not have, a sufficient amount in equipment to cover a truck that they want to use. Sheriff's Department had purchased a truck, or got a truck, and I think they used Sourcewell, I think was the one I remember seeing on that quote. And they were originally gonna take it out of his abandoned funds. But if they don't use Operation Lone Star funds, then they could potentially lose that. So to avoid losing those funds, they're moving 35,000 from overtime to equipment, and then we're gonna change that PO from abandoned over to Lone Star.
So abandoned won't fund any of it.
So abandoned is not going to fund it, it will all be funded out of Lone Star.
We assume that's a legitimate expense for Lone Star.
My understanding from our grant people is, yes, it is.
So the first line item.
And they do have it approved by the Office of Government.
So let's do one at a time. First line item adjustment, it's the line item adjustment to move money from office supplies to equipment in the county judge's office. Equipment under 5,000.
Correct.
To the amount of,
$1,515.06.
I'll make a motion. I probably should make the motion.
I'm,
Second?
Yeah.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, second line item adjustment is, taking the third, well, how much is it?
$35,000 from overtime to equipment greater than 5,000
Within the Lone Star.
within Operation Lone Star Fund 933.
So, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. All right, what else?
I have another budget amendment related to the fire truck repair. We are requesting to increase the, for year 25 vehicle maintenance expense under emergency management by the $8,017 quote for the fire truck repair. And we will take that amount out of prior year fund balance. And the reason that we are doing that is because we received an equal amount of insurance proceeds, but it was received in the for year into 2024, and there were no strings attached. So if you get money with no strings attached, we recognize it in that year. So the income is in 24 and the expenses in 25, and it'll all eventually even out, but for purposes, we increase that expense.
Well, I thought it's only gonna be, we didn't get 8,000 from the church. We only got 7,000 because of 1,000.
Oh, I'm sorry, it was the deductible.
So we're only gonna take 7,000.
It's 7,000.
$1,000 expense
Correct,
for the deductible.
correct. So yes, you are correct.
So the 7,000, what, give me exactly?
Well, the expense is still gonna be 8,000, so we,
That's correct.
so we
So
still,
we gotta do an expense of 8,000 and a revenue.
but we've got a revenue coming forward to offset some of that through the fund that's from 2024.
Yeah.
But we're gonna need to increase the expense by the full amount.
So I have an expense for 8,000 and a revenue line out 7. I've got it for you.
To have an even offset in the year 2025, we've got the 8,000, and then we'll use 8,000 out of our prior year fund balance to cover that expense.
Okay. So as long as you got that $1,000 of expense tracked.
Yes.
Okay. All right, motion. That motion?
Yes.
Okay, second. It's just a time.
I'm sorry, that one was kind of a mess.
We got the money last year, but we're spending. Need discussion, all in favor, say aye. Well, what else? Got one more thing.
Just kind of already went over it. I'm in the process of working on the chart of accounts that we would be using in the new Tyler system. That is taking a substantial amount of time. I really, really want to get that right, which is why I'm asking for input now. If there's anything that y'all would like to see as far as, can we look at areas of the county? Can we look at specific types of expenses? Is there some way I can get a report that shows me this? Our deadline for getting that turned in is on the 12th. I'm really shooting to have that done by the 6th or the 7th, so that there's some time if there's any kind of issue. So if you have any special requests, just let me know sometime within the next few days, so that I can incorporate that.
Do you want to talk about do we want to do approval on the policy on the bills? Wednesdays, payable.
We had decided to put on the 11th.
Okay.
But just to kind of give y'all a heads up, sort of a preview, is the bill process had been over like every 2 weeks, just approved at Commissioner's Court, and that was it. But what we are looking at doing is having a policy put in place, and I'll have it written up for the 11th, where bills are paid on the Tuesday, but the documentation to get that bill paid needs to be in by the Wednesday prior. And that gives her enough time, gives Bucky enough time to get everything input and get it paid, so that we can get it kind of on a consistent basis. And there's a couple of other changes that we can look at.
Okay, anything else?
Working on 10 million different plans at once.
Brewster County Tourism.
Good morning, everybody. Short and sweet today. We're beginning or into, I know it's not spring, but our spring show season. It actually started last week. Aaron Garza in my office with his first solo show, the marketing committee this last year, wanted a lot more East Coast, New York kind of stuff. We never really reached out to that area. So he attended IMM, which is a journalist actual one-day showcase. So he flew to New York and did that last week. Whenever we do travel like that, we try and do double duty. So he did that show on Wednesday, tore down his little booth there at the hotel Thursday, and then Friday he set up for the New York Travel and Adventure Show. So he did double duty, did that all weekend. He's on flight coming back now, I think, or he may be in Midland already, I'm not sure. But I haven't found out how that went with the New York show. At least he shot me a quick text that he almost ran out of giveaways day one. So that means there's a lot of traffic at the booth. So hopefully it went well. I'll talk to him and find out exactly the specifics when he gets back to the office. Next week, well, the rest of this week, we have some meetings Saturday today with Airmark, et cetera, a lot of stuff like that, committee that you put together as well. Next week, it's a lot of office work and prep for the show season. Because the week of the 10th, I'll actually be in Round Rock for the Texas Historical Commission and Texas Heritage Trail Program's midwinter statewide meeting. It's for us, it involves the Texas Mountain Trail. So we're down there for a couple of days. The one interesting thing that y'all may be interested in, the Texas Mountain Trail does affect us here in Brewster County. When I go to these things, a lot of it, especially in our legislative year, is speaking to the lobbyists, et cetera, for the Historical Commission. And the first round, the budget's already come out, SB1 and the House, Senate and House as well, has already come out with an additional almost $100,000 for each of the 10 trails. It's already in there. It's rare that happens, but they shot us a note over the weekend. But it looks like the trails that are usually very meagerly funded may get a nice little boost this year. So it's already made it out of both the houses, so we'll see what happens. They said don't count on it yet, because things always get cut. But that was the first time it's actually been in the budget the first go around. So they were really happy about that. So I'll find out more on that. The week of the 10th, over there in Austin. That's a couple of days, 2-3 day meeting there, and then I'll catch a flight from Austin to Phoenix for the Phoenix Travel and Adventure Show. I'll be doing a presentation on the main stage about dark skies and big men, and of course, I'll mention, the closure that's coming up. I actually get to present, to actually go and do a 30-minute presentation on the main stage there. Aaron is going as well, he'll be in the booth, so we're ready to go. We'll both do that show there in Phoenix for, that's the 14th to the 16th of February. After that, we head to Plano for a sporting event that's up there. Same thing, I get to do a presentation on the stage, it's over at that one. And then we have tentatively, and it should make quorum, the 25th of February, the Brewster County Tourism Council Board meeting. They wanted to go ahead and get one in before the guys March. Usually we meet in January like we did, and then we don't do anything until May. But they're gonna try and meet and then with all the new board members, be more active and have more reasons as was suggested by the board. So hopefully that one will make it the 25th. That will be at Lahitas if it all works out. And that's basically the only things I have going on so far.
You got a contract for Super Bowl?
Yes, sir. Yeah, Super Bowl's expensive, you know that. I'll just wait till the last minute. It's the last minute contract. No Super Bowl's less than a couple weeks away. But last year I did the San Angelo market because they had some leftover. The local stations always get some spots and they were fairly inexpensive, like $400 or $500 a commercial, This market is San Antonio, so it's much more expensive. However, you're talking about 2 million eyes probably. And we got lucky with who's in the game. Most folks got to watch to see the homes and all that good stuff. So those spots run about $1,500 a commercial. So it's not rather expensive, but it's $15,000 package. They will run before, after, and during the Super Bowl through the San Antonio markets. So I think it'll be a good buy. It's 15 grand, but there'll be a lot of folks watching that. So hopefully we'll stand out there in the San Antonio market. And it includes all the surrounding hill country areas where not just San Antonio.
We'll be right up next to a Dorito commercial.
Probably, yeah. People, and oddly enough, again, watching the Super Bowl, people watch the Super Bowl for commercials a lot. It's not just a random thing. So I don't know.
There used to be ads were as fun as the Super Bowl.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, probably gonna be that way this year too.
I'm going to approve. Motion to approve. Looking for a second.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anything else, Robert?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, for the court, this is, there's a clerical error on the agenda at the last meeting. If you guys remember, we flip-flopped the next meeting on the 11th, it's going to be a special meeting in Terlingua. This is our first visit to Terlingua, and we're kind enough to accommodate that since my wife's going to do the surgery for so we're going to meet, the next meeting will be at Terlingua at 9:30, the Red Patel Center, will be 11th. This will be a special meeting. It says right there on this, but this was an error, should be a special meeting, so we'll have a special meeting at 11, which we've already approved in the previous board.
So for the next regular meeting will be.
The next regular meeting will be the 25th. And now we'll take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn.